A BBC investigation has found that children as young as 7 are being groomed to sell sex in one of the world's largest licensed brothels in Bangladesh. Now on BBC World News, Frankie McCamley reports on the forgotten children.
This is a dark world where the unimaginable happens to children. They're born into a life where sex is sold on every street corner. In a brothel that's so popular, it's grown into a village. It's now home to nearly 2,000 sex workers and their children. I've come here to Daulat Dia in Bangladesh to meet women trapped into a life of debt and sex slavery, and to find out how charity workers are trying to help young girls escape the inevitable.
I didn't eat deliberately, so I was too skinny to do the work. I knew the men preferred bigger girls.
When I was about 7 or 8, my mother brought many men into our home in the brothel. One man tried to do bad things to me.
This is one of the largest brothels in the world. In this district, prostitution has been permitted by the authorities. Alcohol is easy to obtain and drugs are rife. Many women are born into this life, handed down through the generations. Some say they started work when they were 11 years old. Others came to earn cash, but some were trafficked, kidnapped from their families or tricked into coming here. Women stand by the gates of the village to attract business. Men have to pay to get in. Whatever they want after that is extra. Daulat Dia's location is key, around 100 kilometres west of Dhaka. It's far enough from big cities, but well connected by road, rail and a ferry crossing that provides thousands of customers every day. The men come and go quickly, leaving no trace, just scars in the lives of women here who believe this is the only life they're worthy of. As darkness retreats, so do the crowds, many men leaving for work. For the sex workers, though, it's often a chance to get some rest. But in the corner of this corrugated village, down a small alleyway, I find one young woman still touting for business. There are debts to be paid. Work must continue throughout the day. She's charging 250 taka per customer. That's just $3 US. The reality is, the younger the girl, the more she's worth. In her room, she tells me she was trafficked into the brothel.
When I came here, I think I was 19. My boyfriend brought me from my village. He told me we were going somewhere else. He tricked me. Then after a few nights' stay at a madame's house, I owed her money and had to start work.
It's a common story here. Trafficked girls fall into debt with a madam who owns numerous homes. The girls are controlled by her. They don't get paid. They just work in exchange for food and shelter.
Everything I used to earn went to her. She took everything. I worked really hard and never had any money. So I tried to leave. But when I did, people at the gate stopped me. They told me I cannot leave. But I didn't really have a choice. I had already joined a bad profession, so there's nowhere for me to go from here.
I leave her to get back to work. As I make my way to another part of the brothel, there are hints of the secrets that will be masked by darkness later this evening. homemade alcohol in plain sight, and a young man insistent on telling me about all of the drugs he can buy.
Gaja, haba, yaba, beer, mod, cereal, dal.
I then meet Aki, a local counsellor employed by a charity offering help and support to some of the sex workers.
This is dance bar. Modern Dukan dance bar.
Clearly proud of her work, she wants to show me around and meet some of her clients. Weaving down narrow pathways, it's hot, humid. There are open drains and piles of rubbish around every corner.
Wow, it really smells.
And customers here and drinks, money,
Money, and they pay
money.
money.
Ji.
And do they take drugs?
Yeah, sometime.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Tonight.
Sometime.
Yeah. So in the evening, at night, the ladies dance, the men drink.
Drinks.
Yeah.
Behind that dance bar, we go on to meet a sex worker Aki's been helping. But our presence is clearly not welcomed by everyone here. At the door, there's some confusion.
We can't go in yet, we've just got to wait just inside the door because the woman currently has a customer with her.
After around 10 minutes, we're allowed to go in. The woman's client hasn't left yet. He gets lunch included. This sex worker was born in the brothel. She thinks she's 26. Her first client was around 15 years ago.
What is it like living here?
Can anyone enjoy living here?
Is there any way of you moving out and getting away?
I would obviously prefer to move out. I need the money to escape.
But her biggest concern is her daughter. She's now the same age this woman was when she started this work.
My girl is growing up. I'm stuck here. But she has turned 11. How long has she got left before they take her?
She's worried people in the brothel will force her daughter into prostitution. And that's a concern shared by a global children's charity. Save the Children has set up a school for under fives just metres from a back entrance to the brothel. It integrates children from the whole district, but also educates the most vulnerable, who are often forced to sleep in their mothers' working beds. The hope is an education could help them escape brothel life, which teachers here say has already had an effect.
They used to put on a sari, put on lipstick, get dolled up and say, "Now I'm going to the gate." And we used to tell them with affection, "No, that's not what you want to do."
But like all young children, they imitate what they see.
I would ask them, what do they want to be when they grow up? They would reply, "I want to be like mother." I would say, "No, mom does bad work."
After lunch, some of the children will go home to the brothel. Teachers say they're often used as drug runners or to run errands.
Suppose the mother is a smoker. She would give her child money to buy cigarettes for her. They would often put them through several forms of torture, beating them, verbally abusing them. They simply didn't know how to look after them. We're trying to change that scenario.
To avoid watching their mothers work and the prying eyes of strangers, an evening school runs 6 nights a week. But when it closes, not everyone is collected. A local charity has beds for a handful. But some have to fend for themselves and find their own way home, walking along dangerous tracks, away from the crowds and into the darkness.
We've come just a few hundred metres down the railway line from the brothel, and this is the area that I've been told is the most dangerous at night. It's because a lot of the people that come from outside, this is where they stay. It's not policed as much around here. It's an area where you can buy alcohol and drugs very easily, I'm told. And some of the children, the school children, have said that they don't like to walk through here at night when they're going home. There have been a few murders around here in the past few months. An area, they say, is extremely dangerous.
Most people think that Huawei has come from nowhere. Mr. Ren, the founder, lived through a very difficult time in China's history, which included famine, being made redundant from the army.
74岁创造这个华为的时候，应该是任何经验都没有。
Huawei basically started very, very small. 1987, Shenzhen, in an apartment.
我找了几个人集资，这里面没有任何国家一分钱。
任总呢，总是拿着一个大茶缸，做很多讲话，就是我们要三分天下有其一。
这卖得很好了以后，他们也不供货了，就把我们逼到我们必须自己做我们的通信产品。
It fit perfectly what was needed at that time to become one of the biggest telecom companies in the world.
In the morning, it's much safer. Parents and teachers are on hand to walk children along the railway line to make sure they get to the primary schools safely. It caters for 6 to 11-year-olds. But once they arrive, teachers say older children bring more challenges. Integration between those in the brothel and other areas is difficult. Brothel children, they say, often need extra support.
Because they cannot work at home and do their homework, we have to give them more time and create extra lessons for them to do this. The brothel children don't bring enough food with them to school, so we have to find snacks for them here. They also cannot afford the school uniform. We buy that for them. And pens, pencils, notebooks, we have to buy that too.
She says children from the brothel are very keen to learn, but it's easy to tell them apart from others as they imitate their mothers.
When they come to school, they are not naughty, but they love to dance. We know why that is. They love to sing too.
It's not all hard work. This afternoon, there's a cricket match. Today, it's Bangladesh versus England. And it's attracting the attention of some of the local boys. In the backdrop of this fun afternoon, there's a sinister reminder. The packed evening train pulls into Dawlatdia station. It's the end of the line. More customers are arriving. Another busy night lies ahead at their homes in the brothel. A handful of the girls, though, will not be going back there. They've been taken away from that life.
We've come to a safe home about a few kilometres away from the brothel, where around 20 girls are being looked after. Their ages range from 7 to 17. These are some of the girls that are classed as most vulnerable, most at risk. So, for example, they might have been dropping out of school because if you think about it, going to school, trying to learn, and then going back to an environment like the brothel, it's incredibly hard to concentrate. The other reason these girls could be very vulnerable is because maybe some of their families, their carers, could have been trying to force them into sex work. A lot of the girls don't want to show their faces, even the teachers don't want to show their faces because there is this real stigma still attached to that area. If you come from that area, if you're born from that area, which most of these girls are, you won't be able to get a job, you won't be married. But one of the main rules in this safe home is that these girls are never allowed to go back to the brothel. Hi, hello Shimona.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Welcome to our safe home.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Oh, so this is it, this is the safe home.
Yeah, so I'm showing you, these is your accommodation,
Yeah.
their bedrooms here.
Yeah.
And
So you've got bedrooms all round here.
all around here.
And,
The
and are
complete
those-
residential
Yeah.
set. Yeah.
Bedroom. And how many girls in each bedroom?
In each bedroom there are only 3 or 4.
Right.
4 girls in each room.
In total, there are 21 girls living here. The safe home could take 50, but funding has been cut, which mirrors a fall in aid education funding globally. According to the UN, part of the drop is down to the UK decreasing its donation by almost a third in the space of 12 months. In Daulatdia, there are more girls than places.
I'm to the entrepreneur and I want to work.
This woman was lucky enough to secure funding to live here when she was 9. She has an education and now works here, but she had to leave her friend behind.
She was very cute and beautiful. She was taller and brilliant. She did not want to join in, but the safe home couldn't take more children at the time. So, one night, her mother forcefully put a customer in her room. After he left, she hanged herself.
And even for those who make it here, it doesn't mean they're completely free from brothel life. One of the girls is just 7. Her mother keeps trying to take her back and force her into the sex business. The staff, though, keep bringing her back, adamant she will have a different life. On Fridays, most of the girls can see their families. They can meet them in a safe place, or their mothers come here.
মা তুমি ভালো আছো?
হ্যাঁ মা তুমি ভালো আছি।
খাওয়া দাওয়া করছো?
হ্যাঁ খাওয়া দাওয়া করছি। তুমি পড়াশোনা করো তো ঠিকমতো ইয়ে করবা। মানুষের মতো মানুষ হবা। আমার ভালো লাগবে।
তুমি আইছো আমার খুব ভালো লাগতেছে মা।
I would like to see that my daughter grows up and she gets a good life. I destroyed my life. I don't want her destroying hers, so she will grow up and get a good job.
Do you hope to one day leave the brothel?
Yes, I do.
I hope if I complete my education properly, get a job, I can earn lots of money. I will then be able to rescue my mom from that place.
It's a lot of weight for such young shoulders, but only a select few are offered this escape route. There's a monthly fee for each girl, which their mother must pay, making money the only way they know how. It's a sacrifice made by one generation to save another. These 2 13-year-olds moved in within weeks of each other. They're desperate to learn and adamant never to return to their dark past.
I used to be very afraid to my mother, so whatever she said, I listened to. She used to lock me inside that house in the brothel and go out to find work at the gate. I was sat in the dark, scared by myself. I just used to cry.
This place is so different to the brothel when I was living there. It was horrible, just black. When I started school, I was behind the others. I couldn't read or write. I just slept in class because I couldn't sleep at night. Also, I didn't eat deliberately, so I was too skinny to do the work. I knew the men preferred bigger girls, but not eating made me sick and I ended up getting jaundice.
Their friend, who's the same age as them, was forced to stay in the brothel and work. The girls say she's now taking what they call the fat pill. It's a steroid given to skinny brothel girls to make them bigger. Curvy girls get more business. The drug is dangerous for humans, though, and is used by farmers to fatten up cattle. It's been linked to deaths in the brothel.
She has taken this medicine they give them over there because she was too small. She now looks older and fat. Her voice has changed. You can't recognize her.
When my mother comes to visit, I ask about her. She says she's not okay. She cries a lot. Mom tells me not to think about her. But she has no choice. Her family needs the money.
We try to find their friend, but the police follow us and stop our filming. They don't want journalists in the area, especially during the night when the drink starts flowing, the dance bars fill up, and sex is being traded on every corner.
There's clearly so much going on in there, and there's clearly a reason why the police don't want us to go in. This is a Muslim country where so few people are even allowed to drink alcohol. You need permits for that. And that is an area where people are openly drinking alcohol, taking drugs. There are places where you can go and buy drugs. I'm told by so many different people that heroin is easy to get hold of. There are tablets some of the young girls that are taking, very easy to get hold of, that are killing them. But the police will not let us go in there. They will not let us take a look. And now we've been prevented from having any contact with the brothel.
They then forced us out of the whole district, following our every move. Despite government permission to film in the area, local police had other ideas. This is a district shrouded in secrecy, where there's clearly a lot to hide. Children selling sex, taking drugs, constant beatings. Then there's the child abuse, rape, and women being trafficked. There may be an escape route for some girls, but what about the boys? Some get addicted to drugs and become customers themselves. Another cycle. For others here, these tin walls are a metal cage that perpetuates a life of suffering that may never end.